with all that being said, do you have an area? Like for me, it is the area between Hot Springs and Irwin. Do you have an area that you just do not like? It's your worst hiking area.
All right, August here. This is part two of the interviews. I'm just changed locations. I'm inside the restroom, different day. This is what, November 20th, Monday. I'm gonna get right to it. I just reviewed the last question, and the question was, is there a certain area, the worst area on the trail, bad experience, blah, blah, blah. I get it, and I'm gonna go ahead and address that. There's two things. Number one, to just validate that question right at the heart, as far as the worst area goes, I'll say 14 miles out of Irwin, there's a place called the Beauty Spot, okay? And out of the 9 times I've passed through Irwin, hiking past Beauty Spot and hitting that next shelter or the shelter thereafter, there's always a hiker telling me about the bad experience they had there. Now, it's called Beauty Spot for a reason. It's a beautiful place, but the problem is, that place is labeled because of that from the locals, okay? It's so close to the street that locals go there. But here's the thing. The Beauty Spot, that place has been a place where people and hikers and everybody shares, okay? It's just a well-known area, and it's always populated. So it got to the point now where the locals in Irwin, if they want to have some fun, they'll get in their truck about 1 a.m, drive up the Beauty Spot, which is like, think of a flat place with gravel, okay? And just off to the right or left, or even in the surrounding area, there's like places where you could pitch a tent, so forth, okay? And there is water available. So they know they can go down there and start hitting donuts, kicking up rocks, and just making a ruckus. All right. And just from that proximity, it's enough to raise havoc if you're a hiker sitting in a tent wondering what the is going on out there. You know, they're drinking beer, they're making noise, they're gunning their engines. And like I said, it's always been consistent with people having a bad experience at the Beauty Spot. Now, for the record, you can camp at the Beauty Spot, but there's no shelter there. OK, when you hike out of Irwin, there is one shelter 4 miles in. I usually go there and call it a night, because the next shelter from there is like 17 miles, maybe 13 total. But some people, they don't want to stop at 4 miles. They do another 7 miles, like 14 miles, and then they camp at Beauty Spot. So beware. Now, that being said, the second part I want to say is this. You never want to hike or camp. You never want to camp at a shelter that's at least a mile, mile and a half from the street. You just don't want to do it. The reason why, because it's too close to the street. Okay, locals, people come up and they can harass you. It has been done, but it's just a bad element. They're only coming out at night, and they're coming out to just wreak havoc on the hikers. It's like sport. Now, the Trail Conservatory, they have a database where when people report things, and when the trail maintainers, they report things about problem shelters, and they're real quick to tear a shelter down and then relocate it. You see this at Apple Orchard. That's right off of Over Mountain. As soon as you come off, when you finish Roan Mountain and you're coming down Over Mountain, you see a platform where a shelter used to be. That's Apple Sheltered, and then you hit the road. Okay, so they've since torn that down. But I've actually shown you at least two shelters on my journeys on 2015 where I walk up on it and it's just thrash, spray paint, food, cans, all that. As a hiker, when you come into a situation like that, abort. Okay, you don't want to be there. All right, unless it's just an emergency, and the reason being is because the locals go there. Okay, and drunks, vagabonds, homeless people that are kicked out of town, they'll just hold up there. All right, and generally it just means trouble. It just does, and you can't trust it during the day. You know, you pull in 4 o'clock, it's all tranquil, the birds are singing, you see the spray paint, you're like, it's still a nice shelter. When that sun goes down, it changes, okay? People are going to come out, you're going to hear cars, and so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but just keep in mind, all right, any shelter that's at least a mile and a half from the road, just don't even go there. Just avoid it. You want to stop and have lunch, fine, but you don't want to sleep there. And if you have to, worst come to worst, your dog tired, you did 30 miles, you see this shelter and it's like, dope, I'm done hiking, I can't leave. This is what I'll tell you to do, okay? Generally, water is by shelter. So go ahead and get your water, do all that. Don't sleep in the shelter, okay? Set up a little camp, a stealth camp, just outside the shelter so that it can't be readily seen. All right, and that way you're out of the direct line of fire when people do come up. Okay, and you can still have your rest and all that, and you don't got to worry about being molested or assaulted or whatever. Okay, so that's my advice as far as that goes on that subject. Okay, break.
Now, throughout your videos, I've seen that you have had some rough times in some areas being a minority, but do you have a best hostel, best town, any of those things? Let's start off with best hostel.
Okay, next question was, you know, throughout my travels, I've actually stayed at a lot of, I've hiking the trail. I come in contact with a lot of hostels and bed and breakfasts and so forth and so on. So the question is, do I have a best hostel? And the answer is this. First of all, do I have a best hostel? No, because, it's all good. I mean, when you're wet, and when you're cold, when you're starving, and you're on the phone and you're like, hey, do you have rooms available? And then that's like the holy grail. I mean, that when you're coming in out of the cold, just being able to do that is priceless. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, any hostel that will have me when I'm in need, if I can get a bed, excellent. Now, I know that's not what you're looking for, but let me say this. I mean, I could throw names out there, but that's more like family. You know what I'm saying? The bed and breakfasts, the places that I've been to, and I don't want to. I'm sure it'll give them business, but I'm trying to give you game. Okay, I'm trying to give you knowledge that you can continually use. What they do for me and what they do for Henry and Carol may be two different things. What makes me unique is I see a hostel or bed and breakfast as an opportunity, or at least I used to. What do you mean? The trail code is when you don't have money, you can literally go to a hostel and be like, hey, I don't have money, but do you do work for stay? Okay. Now, what's work for stay? Work for stay is the proprietor of the hostel will be like, well, I tell you what, if you want to earn a bed, I need you to go out there and rake up those leaves, or I need you to get up on my roof and get clean the drains. All these things I'm mentioning, I've done. Okay. So in doing a work for stay, obviously you're building a rapport with the owner. From the blueberry patch with Gary, my first experience with him was a work for stay. I ended up staying with him for 3 days doing work. I mean, hard work, but I don't mind hard work. And in that time, you talk, you bond, and you become family. So while he's feeding hikers in the hostel, I'm sitting at the dinner table with him and his family eating there. And that's how you build the relationship and the rapport. So what makes the experience is how much you're willing to give, how much you're willing to delve. And it all goes towards maximizing the joy of the experience. All right. Because obviously you're spending more time, you're getting more and more submersed, and there's time to build a relationship. OK, so what I would tell you is, and let me just be straight. In 2015, I don't think I did one work for. Yeah, actually, I did. It was thrown at me. But even but when your budget's cool and you just want to finish hiking and chill, you can do that too. You don't have to do a work for stay, but at the same time, you can still mingle. You know what I'm saying? If you can ask, hey, do you need any help? My clothes are washed, this, that, and the other. So basically, the joy that you get out of that relationship is depending on how much time you want to invest while you're there. Okay? So any hostel experience, if you can get in a hostel that's not in high demand, has the potential to be the best experience you ever had. And on that same note, okay, you're taking their information. You got their name, you got their number. So even when you're not on the trail, you call them up on Easter and be like, hey, Gary, what's up? Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? You're still building relationships. When you make it to Katahdin, if you're doing a through hike, you take a picture, you're sending pictures to every hostel so they can see that you made it, and they're putting your picture on the wall. You become a part of something. And you know, maybe it's rare to continue to go back and back and back as much as I do. But should the time occur where you had such a great experience, you want to go back, then you go back and you see your picture on the wall. You see that you're a part of something. You've been immortalized. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm starting to babble, but do I have a favorite hostel? No. But any experience is a good experience, and any hostel that'll take you in is aces in my book. To answer that question, out here.
What's your favorite trail town?
Okay, moving right along. The next question was, what is your favorite trail town? Now that right there is pretty much a no-brainer. Out of all the trail towns on the trail, you will never hear more than what you may hear about Damascus. Okay, that's the ceremonial 1/4 of the way done. It's sitting at roughly a little bit under 500 miles. Now, understand. In the 90s, Damascus was the place to be. I mean, everybody was just so liberal. You know, it reminds me of Woodstock, where hikers would just set up in the mud or just set up tents right there in the grass, and the town is just so inviting. Okay, and add on top of that the annual Trail Days celebration. All right, now I'm class of 2008 as far as Trail Days go. All right, I went to Trail Days 2008 when I was hiking the trail. On that particular hike, I went halfway. Okay, I went from Georgia to Harper's Ferry. I made a point to stop at Trail Days, and then I flip-flopped and went to Maine and just started hiking south until, you know, but I wasn't planning on doing a through hike. So pretty much Damascus is renowned on all those different fronts. You know, Trail Days being the most notable, but as time progresses and the hikers change, you know, they change with the time, you know, and the popularity and the you know, word of mouth about Damascus spreads. The Damascus town, you know, proper, they've since had to start dialing it back. What do I mean? For example, Trail Days used to be right there in town. You know, all these different outfitters would come and just set up literally right there in town, a stone's throw from the mayor's office, so to speak. But ever since 2008, they've been dialing it back, pushing it back more and more and more, further and further. So basically, when I went through in 2012, they said Trail Days was like a mile out of town, and in 2015, it only gets pushed back that much further. Now you add into the fact with you know the fact that, you know, drugs are so easily accessible. In 2008, you probably had one state that had legal marijuana. Now here it is, 2012, you're looking at 5 states. So the point I'm trying to say is that the influx of hikers and the influx of drugs that the hikers bring just through accessibility, it's a factor. I mean, there ain't no way you can say it. No one's gonna act you know, proper when they're high. No one's gonna act proper when they're drunk, okay? And even though they're putting money into the community, at the same time, you know, when they're high and drunk, the damage that one hiker can do, the damage that a few hikers can do is amazing. Case in point, when I went through in 2005, there was a place called the Hiker's Place. The church bought this house, and they outfitted it so that hikers can stay there. In 2005, they had a stove, they had refrigerators, microwave ovens. It was just a free-for-all. You go in there, you do your thing, cool, right? And then the last time I went there, they got rid of the stove, they got rid of the refrigerator. They just, well, maybe, no, the refrigerator's still there, but the point I'm trying to say is because hikers get crazy, they get a little bit stoned or they get a little bit drunk and they do certain things, you know, you have a issue with vandalism. When I went through in 2015 on my last hike, they had a caretaker living right there on the premises, and he was just sitting there like a drill sergeant, letting you know what the rules were, giving you the curfew time, and that's what it's come to now. where you just have to have a notable presence of authority so hikers can actually act like they got some sense. No smoking in the house, no this, that, and the other. And, it's just a sign of the times, if anything else. But to answer the question, Damascus, trail days, awesome. I mean, I got nothing but good memories and things to say about it. Apparently, there's more drama these days dealing with Damascus, and that's probably one of the questions coming up. But yeah, and like I said, I got good experiences. My first experience with Damascus, when I was hiking through, I was dog tired. I did 25 miles that day, and I was just beat. So here I am walking through town. And it's probably one stoplight in that whole town. It's small, but it's big. It just depends on how you look at it. If you're driving a car, it's a small town. When you're walking, it's pretty big. It's spacious. So I'm going through town and I just see flyers. I'm passing people giving me flyers saying spaghetti dinner today right up the street. And I'm like, what are the odds, right? And so I'm walking and I'm not certain. I'm looking at flyers and you got people standing in the doorway. Hey, hiker, come over here, get some food. And they throw in lasagna at me and salad and pies and cookies, and it's all free. It's just, they're just giving back. And then during trail days itself, you got the church doing free feeds. You got people down here doing music. It's like one big festival. Like I said, Woodstock. So I got no bad memories coming out of Damascus in and of itself. But the experiences that I do have with the trail days and all that stuff, I got nothing bad to say about it. I only did trail days once. And all the 20 times I've been on that trail, I only did trail days once because I've always felt like paranoid, like I don't want to be the only black guy there and people looking at me like I'm crazy, and that's just a stigma. That's just what I carry with me. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, when I decided to do 2008, I'm like, what the hell? I was going with some people, and like I said, man, it was perfect. So for me, the best trail town is Damascus, and the second, just so you know, Waynesboro. There's two Waynesboro. I'm talking about the town though, Waynesboro. They're very hiker friendly, but here's the deal with Waynesboro. Damascus is 24/7, whereas trail days is on a particular day. Waynesboro, because that is literally a town. Okay, I like all kind of stoplights, everything plastic. They have a certain time period where they're hiker friendly. Not to say that they're mean to hikers, but let's just say May 31st. Until late July, the Baptist church there opens up their basement free for hikers. They feed you, they do everything. You don't got to pay a thing. Okay, it's donation. But I mean, it becomes a hiker's town around May 31st. If you need to get on the internet, you go into the library. They don't give you the hassle. They're like, oh, you're a hiker. Well, here's the code to the internet. And they just embrace you. And so Waynesboro, and at the YMCA you get free showers and this, that, and the other. So I guess the two best town experiences are probably going to be Damascus with trail days and Waynesboro. That covers that question out here.
You know me, if I'm gonna go with the good, I'm gonna go with the bad. So which town, which hostel? Let's start off with hostel. Do you have a hostel that made you, when you walked in, you're like, oh God, or just that you had bad experiences in? Do you have a worse hostel?
All right. Next question asked was bad hostel or bad hostel experience. Let me just say this: I'm cognizant of libel. I also know that people's reputations hang in the balance. I mean, I'm nobody. I understand I have a following, and I'm not going to just say something blatantly negative that's going to affect a business. Okay? But that being said, I don't even have to go there because everything runs perfectly. But I just want you to know that I understand, the touchy ground that I'm coming into, and I have the sensitivity and the understanding of the fact that the weight of my word can carry. That being said, I'm going to address the situation, or I'm going to address the question. Kincora, run by Bob Peoples. Bob Peoples is a retired Air Force colonel. The guy been showing love to the trail. He's a trail maintainer for as long as my living memory of being on the trail. So he's a good man. Okay. In 2005, I passed through Kincora. I did some trail work. I got a patch, all that, and the hostel was spades. He don't even ask for money. There's a donation box. You come in, you leave you work. You stay, you do a donation. If you work for him, you stay for free. But in 2012, his wife took ill, and when I went to Kinkora that time and I passed through, I can see that the hostel was starting to be neglected. Now, the hostel is a part of his house. He literally outfitted a part of his house to serve hikers. And you can literally come off the trail, walk a fourth of a mile down, and you can walk right past his house, and then you go into the area. He outfitted this this section of his house with a shower, with laundry, bunk. It's like a cabin open to the hikers. So it's always been a good experience. And even in 2012, we still had a good experience, but you can see that, okay, yeah, things are going down, but you also understood, well, his wife is sick. Well, unfortunately, when I went through in 2015, his wife had already passed. Okay. And, I did a 27-mile hike that day into Kinkora. I knew that his wife's passed, but I didn't know the ramifications. Okay. So I did a 27-mile hike, and this is the only time I got caught in the dark. And I got it on my video if you care to look at it. It's probably video 14 or 15, or maybe even 12. But the point I'm trying to say is I came in dog tired. All right. And, what can I say? I was disappointed, but I'm a soldier. I ain't tripping. I'm still gonna stay there. But it was in terrible disrepair. I mean, it's like, wow. The electricity was intermittent. When you go inside, you could literally see cat feces, rat feces, and you can smell the dried urine. And it doesn't matter where you went. It was just in disrepair. You can see that. Nobody was there. Okay, I mean, hikers, bless their heart, they're not one to clean up after themselves, especially in a community like that where there's no caretakers. They're gonna do what they do, and it's not a gig on hikers. I mean, you can go into anybody's house if you got roommates and just see, like, damn, you know what I'm saying? So it's obviously it's gonna be evidenced even more so in a hiker community where people are coming and going and there's no accountability. All right. And I also saw that people were taking advantage of the donation. I mean, dude, the box was, the lock was hanging off the box as if a hiker broke into it, and it was nothing in there but dust. Okay. So there's just a lot of things going on. So the point I'm trying to make is Kinkora, I don't even think Kinkora is even open anymore at this point from what I saw. Okay. So you might want to avoid Kinkora. Now, if you want to stop by and give Bob people's love, by all means, I plan on doing it. I actually waited. I spent the night and then I waited, and the shower had cold water. Like I said, the dryer didn't work. The dude you just say to yourself, dude, why are you even open? But he still saved my life after a night hike, 27 miles. I mean, that was golden. It was an oasis and I needed it. But, after, the morning, in a 2015 hike, I kind of stayed behind. Bob Peoples came down, and we just talked. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to see how he was going, because it's obvious, given the state of the hostel, there's something going on, And anyway, I paid him directly, and I told him, dude, you see your box here. He's like, man, I ain't, he's just, you know what I'm saying? So, he's good people. If you still want to stop by and see him, obviously, he showed love to hiker, knock on his door, say hi, whatever. But you don't want to stay at Kinkora, not anymore. All right. Now, when you hit that road, if you make a left, 0.4 miles, that's Kinkora. But if you make a right, half a mile, that's another hostel. Okay. They don't do donations. You're gonna pay. All right. I've only heard good things about that hostel. Okay, and all I can assume is that they're still open. I think it's called Bear something or other. So to answer his question, you might want to avoid Kinkora. And honestly, I'm not doing any damage. It was donation anyway. You see what I'm saying? So, and I'm not throwing him under the bus. He's good people, but times are hard. And you got to put family first. I understand that. And even if it was just a shack, what he offered and left for the hikers is better than any shelter you'll find in the woods. Okay? So that addresses that question. Out here.
Now, same question is going to go for the town. Now, like I said, you've had some bad experiences. I remember you getting off in 2012. Is there a worse town? Is there a town maybe that treated you bad? Is there a town that maybe you'd rather not go back to, or just doesn't live up to the hype of the trail?
All right, moving right along. It's same question, but now the scenario is about a town. Is there like a hiker's town where I felt that I was it didn't live up to the whole to the hype, and most definitely I had a I really can't say it's a bad experience. I got snubbed, okay, but I'm a sensitive person, so I took it personal, and I did a rant on my 2015. It's actually on the video itself. I told you verbatim exactly what the experience was and what happened, so I'm going to give you a brief recap. Hanover, New Hampshire, okay? The trail literally goes through Hanover, all right? You're walking down the streets. There's Dartmouth, which is an Ivy League school, right there on the right as you're going through school. So literally, you're in White Central. And it's like I said before, I probably was the only black person there in Hanover. I mean, at least I feel that way, all right? So I'm very hypersensitive about that anyway. So, but I got to say this, though. In 2005, when I went through Hanover, dude, it was beautiful. They had a carnival going on. We were buying candy apples. I mean, it was nice. No problems whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And it really wasn't a problem. But let me just say this. When you go on to Hanover, you look at your book, okay? The book is telling you, oh, Hanover is a hiker-friendly town. If you go to this place, you get free pizza. Just tell them you're a hiker. If you go to this place, you get a free donut. If you go to this place, you get free breakfast. So generally, literally speaking, you can go through Hanover and look your book and follow the map and get free food as you're walking on the trail that's going through Hanover and then back into the woods. So I was looking forward to it. I mean, it's a very manicured town. It's very clean and everything, very proper, very prim, and very expensive. So obviously you're going to take advantage of the free eats, okay? So I'm sitting here hiking, looking at my book, following the map to a donut shop. Now, I got my pack on my back. It's obvious I'm a hiker. And even if you don't see the pack, you got to say like, what is this black dude doing here? And then you could be like, oh, okay, he's obviously a hiker. So I go into it, the shop, and it's a restaurant that sold donuts. I forgot the name. I think I mentioned it on the thing. But so I go in and I'm making it blatantly obvious that I'm a hiker. Okay? Because I don't want to be like, hey, there's free food. I ain't trying to get all ghetto. You need to be like, hey, can I get a free donut? You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm just keeping it cool, Low profile, going in. You see that I'm a hiker. I got my pack on my back, and the manager's like, yeah, may I help you? And I'm like, yeah, the book says you sell donuts here, And he's like, yeah, we got donuts. What can we help you with? And I'm like, I'm just looking how much it's for. And it's like $5 for a donut, right? And I just assumed after the fact that, okay, I guess they discontinued that. Now, the books are made 1 year prior, okay? So you got to give every place the benefit of the doubt. When the book is saying one thing and you go in there, you can't hold them accountable for what the book is saying. You don't take it out on them. You take it out on the people that printed the book. So I'm not going to be like, well, the book says you owe me. He didn't mention it, so I left. Because I understand from prior experience, sometimes the book get the information wrong. Okay? And as I'm going out, there's a girl right outside with donuts, pushing donuts, selling them. She watched me walk right past her. And so I just stopped and I'm like, hey, is there a Starbucks around? Cause now I want something sweet. You feel me? So she's like, yeah, there's a Starbucks right around the corner. So I go to Starbucks. I start plugging in my electronics. I take my pack off, and I see one hiker sitting there eating a donut. I don't even say nothing. I acknowledge the hiker, but I let it go. Okay? And so now I'm just sitting there waiting for the Starbucks line to go down, and I'm doing my computer, and I see two hikers that I know, two girls, eating donuts. So I'm like, damn, are these donuts that good? But they just come into Starbucks. I see them coming. I pull the door open. They're like, hey, what's up, August? You get your donut? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I went there, but they're too expensive. And she's like, no, man, the donuts are free. The guy was like, he was flirting with us. He's giving us donuts and everything. And we didn't even have our pack. He just assumed we were hiking. I'm like, is that right? Check this out. Watch my stuff. So I walk back over there, and I go to the girl first. And I'm like, do you remember me? I was just here. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, why didn't you offer me a donut? It's obvious I'm a hiker. Oh, I'm new. I'm sorry. Do you want a donut? I'm like, I'm just going to go talk to the manager for a second. So I go inside. And I call the manager, and this is the guy that was like flirting with the girls, giving donuts like he owned the place. So I'm talking to the manager, and I'm like, you know, you didn't offer me a donut. And he's like, well, you didn't ask. And I'm like, but it's obvious I'm a hiker. And he took the high ground. You know, it's like he's dodging. I'm like, you know what? Don't even trip. You know what I'm saying? He's like, so do you want a donut? And I'm like, nah, man, keep your donut. And so I leave and I go out and I'm walking past and I see the girl with her eyes down. I'm like, you know what? I'm getting that donut. You know, just out of spite. So I'm like, so let me get a donut. And she's like, well, what do you want? I'm like, what's the most expensive? So I grabbed it, I took a bite, and I threw it to the pigeons. And I was just, I don't know, I was still kind of heated, you know. And so I go back to Starbucks, and I'm in like, I can't say I'm in it. Well, yeah, I'm just down. Okay, I'm more disappointed than mad. All right. So I'm sitting in line in Starbucks, and I ain't even tripping about it. I mean, it's there, but it's not there. And this guy, actually, I ordered first. And it was a big order. You know, Starbucks is expensive, and then that's Hanover, so it came out to like $16. So I'm reaching for my wallet, and this guy taps me on the back, white dude, and he's like, yeah, are you a soldier? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I see you, what, are you a hiking trail? I'm like, yeah. He's like, hey, he told the girl, like, I got this. You know, he covered it. And right there, I'm like, ha, you know, my faith in man is restored. I'm like, cool, you know, so it worked out. And I like I said, I talked about this on the, last video when I did the trail. But long story short, I was looking at my book, and I hit the pizza place and I hit a few more places, but I did it differently this time. I let them, hey, I'm a hiker. It says right here you get free pizza, because I'm now I'm knowing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they just feel uncomfortable because I'm black. I mean, I don't know, but all I know is I felt that I was invisible. They weren't seeing me. They just didn't want to see me. And they didn't want to engage me in the fact that, hey, you can have this, because that means they'd have to have a conversation with me. Now, all I can do is just say what I feel, and all I can do is speculate. But I have that prerogative to speculate when you don't do anything else to, like, rectify the situation to make me feel something else. All right. So, you know, I don't hold any grudge, but I will tell you this. If you are a minority, because I saw no Mexicans, Chinese, whatever. If you are a minority and you going through Hanover and you're trying to take advantage of these options, go in there knowing. Show them the book, point. Don't expect them to just like walk up to you and say, here you go, like they would the Caucasian hikers. Okay? And that's that. I don't remember the business name, and at the same time, you can't fault the business, okay, for the mentality or the training of the representative. So even still, if I'd have had a bad experience, I'm saying it's the people, it's the person that created that environment. I'm not blaming the business. All right. Like I said, I don't think Hanover's racist or anything like that. I just think I just think it was just, they just felt uncomfortable and they didn't know how to approach it. I don't blame the business. I blame the people representing the business that just dropped the ball. Okay. So yeah. And like Hanover, that's New Hampshire. That's one state over from Maine. And just so you know, that's the only situation during my 2015 hike where it just felt uncomfortable. All right. And that's and you know, well, okay, I'll just leave it at that, because there was another time in the huts. This was 2012. I'm a black guy trying to get a free stay in the hut, and the girl was giving me a hard time. But I mentioned that in the videos if you want to go back and just see that. So to answer his question, Hanover. Are they mean and bad monsters? No. But if you are a minority, I would just tell you, go in there knowing. All right. Let them know, hey, says right here, can I get that? Just that simple. Don't be shy. Closed mouth will not get fed. All right.
Now, because we've touched on some of those things, there was an incident this year in Damascus. I don't know if you heard about it, but obviously the owner of Hey Joe's, which is now shut down, they had some choice words for a Jewish fella, a man hiking the trail. And it was a lot of controversy. And, of course, people knowing my conservative background, they were surprised when I came to the Jewish guy's defense. But I did. Do you have any comments? What are your thoughts on that? And the reason I ask you that is because ultimately what I'm leading to is when it comes to minorities, different religions, different colors, anything, different nationalities. Would you recommend them come out here? Would you agree that it's safe for them to come out there? And incidents like what happened with the Jewish fella is not too common on the trail.
All right. This next question is kind of heavy, and it's kind of like off topic as well, but he posed it. I'll address it. You heard the question. I really don't want to waste time trying to recap exactly what he said verbatim, but he talked about an incident between a Jewish guy, and he felt that the minority, the Jewish guy being a minority, was done wrong. And he asked if I had a comment about that. And then he went on to say, so do you recommend minorities, blah, blah, blah. The whole point of me, I'm going to address the last part first. The whole point of me doing a documentary in 2012 and going forward in 2015 is to show minorities that the trail is a beautiful place, period. So do I recommend minorities go out and see it? Absolutely, I recommend minorities go out there and see it. Will there be some tension and this, that, and the other? Perhaps. But it's not enough to dissuade you. Now, understand, I'm like 6'4", I'm huge, I'm big. If somebody got something to say, I really don't think they're going to pick a fight with me. So maybe if there were situations where a racist person would have said something to someone else and they didn't say it to me, all I can do is be like, I don't know. I have heard incidents about, for example, there's a girl called Vision Quest. She went through in 2005, a black girl. When she would stop to go to town, she'd make a sign and be like, hiker looking for town. And she said on 2 separate occasions while going through Tennessee, people were throwing beer cans at her. Okay, is that a racist act? I think so. But that's the only thing that I heard of. All right, as far as that goes. But even still, I still say that don't even worry about it. I would encourage anybody to go, but understand, as a minority, when you're going out and you're hiking, all the pressure is on you. You are the ambassador of your entire race. Okay, so you have to come correct. You have to give the benefit of the doubt. You have to know that people don't understand that we're hypersensitive about this stuff because it's been a part of our lives forever. Minorities have a sixth sense about being snubbed, okay? Where a white person may need a brick, like fall, just hitting them up the head and be like, we don't like you, we don't, as minorities, it doesn't have to come like that. You know what I'm saying? We're like the whisperer. We know. We can pick up on your unconscious signals, your eyes. We can tell, do we like profiling? Oh, the left side of the mouth just drooped or this, that, and the other. You may be like, oh, you're overreacting. But no, dude, we're immersed in this. We see this every single day. So we know. You don't have to say it. You don't even have to go that far. We know. Okay. But that being said, as a minority, you just got to keep it cool. Don't get offended. Understand that they're uncomfortable just as well. Understand that when you step into their environment, okay, you're in a place where you're not expected to be. Okay, so you got to give them that benefit of the doubt that, okay, they're uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? I liken it as to going into a chicken coop. I don't know if you've ever fed chickens or anything like that, but if you go into a chicken coop, as you're walking in, them chickens don't know who you are. You're an alien, and every single one of them's gonna run from you until they realize, oh, he's there to feed us, and then they're all over you. Once some food drop out of your hand, then it's like, oh, you're a brother, or you're this, that, and the other. Well, look at the food as your attitude. Look at the food as your mannerisms. Let them know, hey, I come in peace, so they can. But if you walk around like a zombie and you're uncomfortable, you're only going to make them uncomfortable, and they're going to give you a wider berth. Okay? So, I'm not to harp on it. Do I recommend trail for minorities? Sure, it's a beautiful thing. But understand that most of the responsibility of breaking the ice and all this other stuff is going to come on you. And understand that even if you do lose your head, that you're representing your whole race. My situation is, you got to understand, if I get in a situation where I'm the aggressor, where I feel like, all right, now I'm going to have to get ghetto up in this mother. Even if I'm right, I'm wrong. Because when they call 911, they're not looking at the white guy with the machete or the white guy with a shotgun. They're looking at the black dude that don't belong and going to assume, this is the issue. So I don't make an issue, and I make a point to de-escalate anything because I'm wrong regardless. Okay? You go before a judge, you go before a magistrate. If another person comes in to mediate or to rectify the situation, know that they're going to be Caucasian. All right? I mean, that's just the way it is. And know that they're going to automatically take the side or just go to I mean, it's human nature. But, I'm damn near 50 years old. It takes life. It's a life lesson. It takes time to understand this stuff. So if you feel like, there's just too much going on, then just wait. Maybe you're 18. Wait. Give time. Let life season you up a little bit. And then go out at it. Now, that's part one. Okay? Part two. He said about the whole ruckus, about the Jewish guy getting roughed up. Let me say this. I'm going to handle this in two prongs. When hikers, I'm going to tell you a story in the military, and I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. Post Desert Storm, when the war was over and the soldiers came home, we got off the plane, we shook some hands, we ate some hot dogs, everybody gave us the parade, and we went home. Okay? We probably went at base for a second to drop our stuff, and everybody went their own way. The married soldiers went home. Single soldiers hit the clubs and all this other stuff. Less than a half hour from the time the soldiers left, the calls started coming in. Okay? Fort Campbell sits between two states. Okay? You got Clarksville, which is a city in Tennessee, and you got Hopkinsville, which is a city in the state of Kentucky. All right? So, right off the bat, Clarksville, they had their hands full. Clarksville Police Department, their hands full with soldiers just going hog wild, doing whatever. Hopkinsville, Kentucky, they had their hands full. Okay? By around 6:30 at night, the company commander started coming in. He was getting calls. Now, he's calling the XO, the first sergeant. By around 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, you got domestic violence. The phone lines are blowing up. And you got the MPs, the military police on post, putting out all these fires, going to all these houses where domestic violence is taking place. By 4:30 that morning, everybody started getting phone calls. The single soldiers, even the ones that wasn't no problems, come back to your unit. You feel what I'm saying? So when we're coming back to our unit, you got the MPs dispersed throughout two states, picking up all of the soldiers that got locked up, bringing them back. Okay? So by, 7 o'clock that morning, everybody's back at base. There's a big, and there's this big, okay, every unit in and of itself is having a meeting. So we're like, a whole company is there, and the first sergeant, the commander is like, what the is going, and basically, long story short, they shut it down. Okay, we were quarantined. Every soldier was locked down and was not allowed to leave the post, go home, nothing for 2 weeks. Okay, they dropped the ball. They knew this in Vietnam, they saw it, but the whole war and everything was new. We didn't realize it. Everybody was just so happy. Everybody wanted to get back to home. What they didn't realize is those soldiers needed time to decompress. And when you didn't give them that and they go out and they mix that alcohol and everything, shit happens. Okay? To this day, the protocol is when you get finished deploying, you go back to post, you kiss your wife and all this other stuff, but you ain't going home. You were locked down for 2 weeks to decompress. Okay? Now, take a hiker. I've often said that hiking the trail is like combat because it's too much anxiety, it's too much fear, it's too much unknowing, and all that too much means too much adrenaline. And in combat, it's the same thing, it's too much adrenaline. And when you're hyped like that, you're super, super sensitive like that, it affects you. Okay? Everything is uber, everything you do is more so. All right? So when you come off that trail and you're going to these hiker towns and you're drinking, you this, that, and the other, you don't know it, but you're uber about it. You know what I'm saying? Your voice is louder, your mannerisms, everything is more sensitive because you're coming down and you can be rowdy. You can be, they can be a ruckus. I don't drink, okay? And I don't smoke, really. And if I smoke weed or something like that, I do it in the privacy of my tent. You're not going to see me in the crowd passing around a doobie, just going around, chopping it up, da-da-da-da, because I understand from way back, when people's senses become impaired, shit happens. So, in many times from my experience, I've always said before, your life experience will affect your trail experience. The more experience you have, the more you can navigate against these pitfalls or things you don't even see coming. So, it's not uncommon for me to go into town and there's hikers sitting at a table. Hey, August, come over here and join us. And they got the beer and I'm like, I'm cool. Thank you. But I'm just going to sit over here. I'm sit over there and chill. Let them enjoy their alcohol and all that. And I'm going to, get over here and just do my thing. Because I realize we're in two different states of mind. We're in two different, we're in one different wavelengths. And I don't want to put myself in there where I'm the only one in a state of mind and these people aren't. Okay? So, long story short, on the part 2, I just want to let you know that it happens. Hikers can get more uber about it. And signals can get crossed. People, it could come to fisticuffs. It could come to a lot of things. But at the end of the day, it's all a misunderstanding because people are just too hype and they don't understand what the trail does to you, and they don't give themselves that time to decompress. That's part 1. Part 2, the trail polices itself. What do you mean? Well, perfect scenario. There was a guy. It just so happens he was foreign. And, a moral code is a moral code is a moral code. If it's in you, it's in you. If it's not, it's not. I don't really consider this to be race related, but I will say this. The Appalachian Trail is generally something that Caucasians can experience because it's in pretty much rural white America. Okay, so the people that are coming to the trail have an understanding of kinship. They have an understanding of this is Appalachia. These people need every single dollar they can get, so if anything, you're trying to overtip. You know what I'm saying? You're representing yourself, but you want to give love to the places that you go to. A foreigner may not know that. Okay, it's bad enough hikers don't tip, but then to go even further, which I'm about to get into now, there was this guy, all right? He even rubbed me the wrong way. He was weird, but there was this guy. He would go to hostels, all right? And hostels, like a hotel, you don't pay up front. You go, you do that, and before you leave, you break bread. You pay. Well, this guy will go to a hostel, eat, do all that, sign up for everything, and then sneak out at 4:30 in the morning. And so now when it's time to pay your bills, he's MIA. Okay? Now, he's thinking, man, this trail is 2,200 miles. I'll be gone and they'll never see me. It doesn't work like that, dude. Information on the trail travels as fast as a cell phone. It's just that simple. So now, you got hikers, in the hostel settling up, and the lady's like, where's so-and-so? And the guy's like, oh, he left. And she's like, what? He didn't even pay me. First of all, they gonna get their money because the hikers are gonna, you know what? Here, take a little bit extra. We gonna cover them. You know what I'm saying? Not because we like him, but because they took a hit. We're going to take care of that. So now the hikers know this guy's an asshole. This guy's blah, blah, blah. We already got it. What he doesn't realize is the owner of the hostel is going to get on the phone and call 50 miles south and let all the hotels, hostels, all of them know this guy right here. Watch him. He's no good. And then they're going to call, 50 miles ahead and let everybody know on the network this guy's no good. So when you come to the trail doing wrong, dude, you asked out, dude. You got nothing coming. We know. Okay? So he was saying, eventually the guy got off the trail. He had to. He got squeezed out. Okay? Because you got hikers that are hiking and you got hikers get in the car and they go forward. And even me, I was telling the person, hey, there's a guy that I just passed. Don't let him in. He's not going to pay. He's da-da-da-da. I'm just going to tell the truth. And she's like, oh, August, I already know. I got the call. So the situation was there was a ruckus where a Jewish guy got beat up. Now, I don't know the situation, but it could be he was not handling himself properly or he was doing wrong and it caught up to him. When you get to Damascus, that's a way station. I don't care if you're going 50 miles a day. If you got something to do, when you hit Damascus, you're going to pump the brakes because it's just a trail town. So if you do any dirt between Georgia and Damascus, it's going to catch up to you. When you hit Damascus and pump those brakes, that's when the reckoning, the rock hits the road to be like, okay, what's up? So now the fact that he's Jewish, that astounds me because where I'm coming from, you don't know that a person is Jewish. The Jewish people, in my understanding, don't have a skin color. Okay, it's blood. In the course of my life, I dated 2 girls that were from Israel. They were Jewish. Okay, one was white as the piano keys, and another one was several shades darker than me. And I brought it up. I'm like, do you guys have a color? And they just span everything. They speak French. They're total chameleons. You don't know somebody's Jewish unless they're in the faith or unless they're a rabbi. So for somebody to say they beat up the Jewish guy, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't ring. There's something about that doesn't make sense, and I'll just leave it at that. So he asked me to weigh in. Number one, yes, minorities are great. It's a good trail. Don't even worry about that. Just go as an ambassador, okay, and give everybody the benefit of the doubt. All right, carry yourself with a little bit more grace than you would because everybody is watching you, okay. And as far as know that the trail polices itself. If you're gonna come correct. If you don't have the money to do something, ask a hiker. I've paid for many hostels for people. It's not that big of a deal. But don't think you're just going to come in here and fool these people. Dude, the trail is older than you. I mean, come on. And understand, give hikers the benefit of the doubt that when they're coming out these woods and they getting drunk, that, dude, they're going to make a scene. There's going to be some stuff. Don't think you're going to get some sleep. When you're sitting in a hostel with 6 beds and you're the only one that don't drink, you're the altar boy or the altar girl, and you want to lay down and go to sleep and the lights are on and people are like, yeah, you might want to get a hotel because it's just like you're just in a nut house trying to get some sleep while everybody else is up. Okay, so not to beat a dead horse, but I think I covered that question out here.